So next in 6.12 he says, our physical body may be likened to an inn, a temporary abode. Can you read this, please?
Learned audience, our physical body may be likened to an inn, a temporary abode. So we cannot take refuge there. Within our true nature, these Trikaya of Buddha are found. They are common to everybody. Because the mind of an ordinary person is deluded, they do not know their inner nature. Therefore, they ignore the Trikaya within themselves and search outside. Please listen. I will show you that within yourself you will find the Trikaya which, being the manifestation of true nature, are not to be sought outside yourself.
All right. Very good. So the point here that's made is the physical body may be likened to an inn. Everybody understands what an inn is? Korea, they say Yuquan or Yoinsuk or hotel. Okay, our physical body is like a hotel, or it's like a Yuquan, where you go for temporary rest. But it's not something that we can take refuge in. We cannot permanently call this our home and take refuge in this physical body. It's always changing. My teachers at Master Sungsan used to call this his rent-a-car. He said, this body is our rent-a-car. I borrow this car, I drive it for a while, and then I have to return it to the company. This is the same point. This is a rent-a-car we cannot take refuge in. But many people nowadays think this body is the most precious thing. And they get very excited about how they can keep this body living longer and how they can keep it as long as they can and consider it the ultimate precious thing. But the teaching in many Buddhist masters is this body is only a temporary abode. It's like a hotel that you went into. You go into an expensive hotel and you have a very nice room and you have a nice TV in the room and all these things, but you can't call that your home. It's just a temporary place where you stay. If you call that your home, then later you have a problem. So this is a very important point. We can take refuge in the physical body, although it doesn't hurt to keep the physical body in good condition and to keep it clean and to do these things. But we can't take a refuge in it. We cannot expect that we're going to be able to permanently exist there in this physical body. And then he goes on to say that people ignore the Trikaya within themselves and search outside. This Trikaya means these three bodies that he referred to, the Dharmakaya, Sambucaya, and the Nirmanakaya. We all have these three kind of bodies within ourselves: substance and truth and a function. That's another way of explaining it. Substance, truth, function. Korean would say 본체, 본체, 실제, 실령. 본체, 실제, 실령. This is a substance, truth, and a function. These three are all together in our mind. We all have these. We all can make good use of these, but we forget that. We think, well, we need something outside of ourselves. We need something that we're lacking. We feel like we're lacking. We need something else. We need to go and get some more education or buy something, or we need to train something. Everybody feels like this. But actually, we all have these three bodies, this substance and the truth body and the function body. So can you read 6.13?
What is the true Dharmakaya? Our true nature is intrinsically pure. All things are only its manifestations. Good and evil deeds are only the result of good and evil thoughts, respectively. Thus, within our true nature, all things are intrinsically pure. It is always clear like the sky, and like the sun and the moon is always bright. However, sometimes it is bright above and dark below, because the sun and moon are obscured by passing clouds. But as soon as the clouds are blown away, brightness reappears and everything is fully illuminated. Learned audience, our evil habits are like clouds, while wisdom, prajna, is like the sun and moon. When we become attached to our outer objects, our true nature is clouded by wanton thoughts, which prevents our wisdom from shining forth. However, should we be fortunate enough to find someone to teach us the correct Dharma, then we may, with our own efforts, do away with ignorance and delusion. Then we can be enlightened, both within and without, and the true nature of all things manifests itself within our true nature. This means we can see we have seen face to face our true nature. This is the true Dharmakaya of Buddha.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, so he talks about the Dharmakaya, and this is essentially our pure, true nature, and all things are only its manifestation. So all things that we see, even beautiful things, even wonderful things that we enjoy, wonderful toys that we have, MP3 players that give us nice music, cars, beautiful cars, houses, all these things are only a manifestation of our true, originally bright nature. So many times people will see something they really want, like they want a new car or a new house or a new girlfriend, whatever it is, and it seems just like so much far away from myself and so much new and different than what I have. But we're teaching here is that actually this is only a manifestation of my true nature. This is only like a reflection of this true nature that we all have. We all have this pure Dharmakaya, which is this true nature, our substance. Already I said, it permeates all things. It's infinitely big. It's as bigger than the whole universe, bigger than the sun, the moon, the stars, galaxies, fills the whole universe. Yet it manifests even on the top of a pinhead. You can, when you look through a microscope and you see very small creatures, it manifests also in their activities, microbes. So it's infinitely big and also infinitely small. And this Dharmakaya is very difficult for us to understand with our thinking mind. When we're thinking and logically trying to measure and conclude things scientifically, it's very difficult to understand this. So even scientists say they don't know how big the universe is, when the universe began, when it's finished. They don't know these things for sure. They are always making new hypotheses and new theories and new conclusions. And so the science of like 100 years ago is nowadays no longer considered the truth, because it was replaced by another conclusion. And probably 100 years from now or 200 years from now, there'll be a whole other science and a way of looking at the universe. So this really leads us to kind of the realm where we need to have a kind of faith in this not knowing. We even have to be willing to trust this not knowing. And what this Huineng says, our true nature, thus within our true nature, all things are intrinsically pure. It's always clear like the sky, and like the sun and moon, it's always bright. However, sometimes it's bright above and dark below, because the sun and moon are obscured by passing clouds. So even though our true nature is always bright, we don't feel always bright. We feel quite dumb some days. We feel like quite dark some days. And we don't feel always like really bright and sharp and like we can, do everything in a bright way, and that's because we have these clouds, and these clouds are kind of like a ignorance cloud. And when these clouds are blown away, then the brightness reappears. And so he said, our evil habits make these clouds. Our evil habits are like a cloud, our bad habits. And also, wisdom is like the sun and the moon. It's not like the sun and the moon disappears, but the sun and the moon remains. But our habit is to kind of make this dark cloud. And this dark cloud hangs around and obscures the bright light of the sun and obscures our bright wisdom. And if we are fortunate enough, we can find somebody who can teach us the correct Dharma. And then we may, with our own efforts, do away with ignorance and delusion. Now you notice he says, with our own efforts. This is also an important point. In our Buddhist teaching, we don't say that the teacher, like a guru, comes and magically takes away all your delusions and enlightenment. We have to make an effort. We can get the teaching, but then we have to make an effort to do away with ignorance and delusion. Then we can be enlightened, both within and without. And the true nature of all things manifests itself within our true nature. So this means we have seen face to face our true nature. And that's how he explains the pure Dharmakaya. Any question about that? A little difficult. Today is a pretty long chapter. Any question, then raise your hand. If you don't have a question, we continue. Yes?
Is a clear mind the precondition, the necessary condition for helping other people?
Yeah, we say this clear mind doesn't have the delusions. This clear mind is free of delusion, it's free of deceit, it's free of greed. So it naturally will be able to help other people. It's very, actually it's very natural for the clear mind to show compassion and to help others. But many times we have some idea of what it is to help others. And we try to help others through our idea. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like we say blind compassion. So many times we think that we're being compassionate, so we do something for others, but it's a little bit, we're acting kind of out of blindness, or we're acting too late. Usually it's too late. This is the necessity for clear mind. Because many people, when they have the chance to help others, will not do it. And then later, they'll get the idea, I didn't do it, now I need to do it. But it's already, it's a little late. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to help others. But the best way to help others is to be clear, moment to moment, to have the clear mind and ask what others can need. Okay? All right, so let's continue. Then 6.14.
Learned audience. To take refuge in the true Buddha is to take refuge in our own true nature. One who takes this refuge should remove from their true nature the evil mind, the jealous mind, the flattering and crooked mind, egotism, deceit and falsehood, contemptuousness, snobbishness, fallacious views, arrogance, and all other evils that may arise at any time. To take refuge in ourselves is to be constantly on the alert for our own mistakes, and to refrain from criticisms of others' merits or faults. One who is humble and meek on all occasions and is polite to everyone has thoroughly realized their true nature. Then there are no further obstacles. This is the way to take refuge in yourself.
Okay, so here he more explains about what it is to take refuge in the true Buddha. And the way he explains is that taking refuge in the true Buddha is to take refuge in none other than our own true nature. So first we need to remove the evil mind, the jealous mind, the flattering and crooked mind, egotism, all these things, arrogance and all other evils. Because if we have just one of those, our mind's not clear. We cannot really help others. We cannot really take refuge in our true self. Consider that. If you are, before I talked earlier, if you are arrogant and you're jealous of somebody, then is your mind clear? Are you acting clearly? No. Are you humble? Are you acting politely to everybody when you're arrogant and jealous? No. Actually, when people are jealous, they act very strangely. And they make fools of themselves. And when people are arrogant, they go to make all kinds of efforts to promote themselves and to defend themselves and to show that their way is the right way. So he goes to an extent to say that we need to take away all these kind of contemptuousness, snobbishness, all these kind of evil minds, and then we will really take refuge in ourselves, which means taking refuge in a true Buddha, because our true self is a true Buddha. But we don't often believe that. We look for something outside. If we really looked for our true self, we could find a true Buddha in there. A true Buddha is not what we think it is. Okay, so continue.
What is perfect Sambucaya? It is like a lamp. The light of a lamp can illuminate darkness, which has existed for thousands of years. A spark of wisdom can do away ignorance, which has lasted for 10,000 years. We need not bother about the past, for the past is gone and irrecoverable. The same is true of the future. Let us moment to moment keep clear and see into our true nature. Good and evil are the opposite of each other, but their substance is not two. This not two nature is our true nature. We can never be contaminated either by good, evil or good. This is called the Sambucaya of Buddha. One evil thought from our true nature will extinguish good merits accumulated during thousands of kalpas, while a single good thought from the same source can take away all our sins, though they are as many as the grains of sands in the Ganges. To realize our true nature from moment to moment without interruption until we attain supreme enlightenment, and to never lose sight of our true mind, is the Sambucaya.
All right, good, very good. Good reading there, not so easy, this text. This Sambucaya, or bliss body, the body that gets bliss. Many times we experience what we call bliss or joy when we accomplish something that we have we've worked on for a while, or we realize some pleasure, we get what's called bliss. And he explains exactly what that is. Perfect Sambucaya is like a lamp, and the light of the lamp can illuminate darkness, which has existed for thousands of years. A spark of wisdom can do away ignorance, which has lasted for 10,000 years. We need not bother about the past, for the past is gone and irrecoverable. We can't get the past. There's nothing we can do about the past. It's gone. We can also get the future. No matter how many book times you've heard about trying to get the future, or seen the movie Back to the Future, or read science fiction, you can't really get the future. Nobody's been able to make a machine that can read the future or anything, although a lot of people would like to. There's no way to get the future. There's no way to get the past. So all we have is this moment. That's all we have. No matter how some people are very clever, they can a little bit predict some things about the future. And those people we admire, who can predict when the stock market's going to go up. those people who can predict what's going to be good businesses. A year from now, we admire. But there's no way we can get the future. We can't get it. All we have is this moment. And he explains about this moment to moment, keep clear, see into your true nature. Good and evil are opposite of each other, but their substance is not two. And he goes on to talk about realizing our true nature from moment to moment without interruption until we attain supreme enlightenment, and never to lose sight of our true mind. This is a Sambucaya. So our true mind and our true self, are they the same thing? Our true mind and our true self, are they the same thing? Here's a question for you.
What is myriad nirmanakaya? It is not thinking of any dharmas. Then our mind is empty. But just one thought and a transformation takes place. Thinking evil transforms your mind into hell. Thinking good changes your mind into heaven. If you are malicious and hateful, you are like a dragon or a snake. Compassionate thoughts transform you into a bodhisattva. Wisdom puts us into the upper realms, while ignorance sends you to the lower realms. Our true nature has many transformations. Ignorant people are not aware of this. They constantly think evil thoughts and always follow an evil path. If they can return to one thought of goodness, wisdom will instantly arise. This is called myriad nirmanakaya.
Okay, thank you for reading that. Now, this I explained before, nirmanakaya, which we refer to as literally as the transformation body, we can also refer to as like a function body. It's that which is always changing and functioning. So already I talked to you about these corpses that look very ugly and decay and are compressed with pressure over time. They become this oil, which has much energy. And this oil has the energy to do many different things. It powers our modern civilization. It's also very toxic, but it powers our civilization and it has a lot of energy. It can function in many different ways. And this is like the Nirmanakaya. This is a Nirmanakaya is a transformation. And so by thinking evil, our mind is transformed into hell. Just thinking about evil, our mind becomes a hell. In one moment. In one moment, as we look at something that we crave and that we want, and then we decide that we need to kill somebody else to get it, and we make some plan, it's almost like we're going straight to hell. And in another moment, as we think of compassion, as we think of unselfish ways of benefiting the people around us, our mind is transformed into a heaven, or what we call a bodhisattva. So this transformation body is a little scary. It operates very quickly. It's like just kind of before you even think about it, it's already happening. We call this the function, the function body, or transformation body. And so when we are ignorant of it, human beings suffer. Because we are ignorant of the power of this, human beings suffer enormously. We don't think of the consequences of what we do, and then we suffer. And so he says, ignorant people are not aware of this. They're not aware of this. They constantly think evil thoughts and always follow an evil path. So people make all kinds of plans, and sometimes these plans are good, but a lot of times these plans are not so good. These plans are to get ahead of the other person and hurt the other person, and by doing this, they fall into a kind of a suffering path, an evil path. And if we can return to just one thought of goodness, then wisdom will instantly arise. And this is called the myriad nirmanakaya. Any question about that? Okay, let's go on then.
Learned audience. Originally, we already have the Dharmakaya. If you see into your true nature moment to moment, this is Sambucaya of Buddha. If your thinking comes from the Sambucaya, this is the Nirmanakaya. True taking refuge means to attain enlightenment by our own efforts and to practice ourselves the goodness inherent in our true nature. Our physical body is a temporary abode. We cannot take refuge in it. Let us all realize the trikata of our true nature. Then we will know the true nature of Buddha.
Okay, very good. So here he says something which is very profound. He says, learning audience, originally we already have the Dharmakaya. We already have this substance body. This substance body cannot be expressed in words. They cannot be expressed in letters. This permeates all things. Already I told you, it's bigger than the universe, yet it manifests in very small things too, in microscopic things. We already have this Dharmakaya. And this Dharmakaya, because we already have that, we can look into our true nature. And when we look into our true nature, then we can see also the bliss body of the Buddha. So we have this Dharma body, and if we use this Dharma body, we can look into the bliss, what we call the form body. And then if we're not, if our thinking comes from this Sambucaya of the Buddha, then this is called the Nirmanakaya. So what we say in Zen teaching is, if we use this form correctly, we can correct function. So already I talk about it. Many times when I teach Zen, I talk about three things: substance, truth, and function. This is not different than these three bodies that he's talking about: substance, truth, and function. If you see your substance, if you use your substance, you can see truth, then you can function it. Use this truth, then to function it. Okay. And he again repeats, our physical body is a temporary abode. We cannot take refuge in it. It's a lot of teaching in this chapter. It's quite a bit. Okay, why don't you read the Formless Stanza, 6.18, okay?
I have a formless stanza, the reciting and practicing of which will in an instant dispel the delusions and extinguish the sins accumulated in numerous kalpas.
Okay, everybody pay attention, because in an instant we're going to dispel the delusions and extinguish the mistakes that were accumulated in numerous kalpas.
I hope so.
You hope so, okay.
People under delusion practice happiness but do not tread the path. They are under the impression that gaining happiness and treading the path are one and the same. Though their merits from generosity and making offerings are infinite, they do not realize that the ultimate source of sins lies in the three poisonous elements: greed, anger, and illusion, within their own mind. They expect to extinguish their sins by accumulating merit, without knowing that happiness obtained in their future lives has nothing to do with extinguishing the sins. Why not get rid of the sin within our own mind? For this is the true repentance within our true nature.
Okay, so this is did everybody experience the delusions being dispelled? Okay. This is how he's teaching on repentance. True repentance is to take away the sin within our own mind. Okay, continue reading on page.
A sinner who realizes
Next
suddenly
page.
what constitutes true repentance according to the Mahayana school, and who ceases from doing evil and practices righteousness, is free from sin. A treader of the way constantly perceives their true nature may be classified in the same category as all Buddhas. Our patriarchs transmitted no other teaching than this sudden school. May all followers of it see their true nature and be one with the substance of all Buddhas. If you are going to look for the Dharmakaya, detached from all Dharma
Laksana
phenomena, then your mind will be pure. Exert yourself in practice to see your own true nature. Relax not. Death may come suddenly and put an abrupt end to your earthly existence. Those who understand the Mahayana teaching and are thus able to realize their true nature should sincerely put their palms together.
Okay. Difficult to read there. Okay, so this is, he basically says, if you acknowledge this Mahayana teaching, put your palms together. We put our palms together. Why do we put our hands together like this? Put our palms together in what we call hapjang or gasho. It means that we acknowledge the teaching. We say, yes, this is good teaching. That's what that is. So when you meet a monk on the street and you put your hands together, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily bowing to him or you're telling him that you're small and he's big. It's not that at all. You're just acknowledging the teaching within. And so he says, those who understand the Mahayana teaching and are thus able to realize their true nature should sincerely put their palms together. And this is very interesting because we don't have the habit of bowing. Western people don't have the habit of bowing. Maybe Asian people have more of this habit of putting their hands together and bowing. But one Zen master in America told me something very interesting. He said, we don't have any habit of bowing. We like to sit, actually Zen, we like to sit in meditation. But when we go through a very difficult experience, then it's almost like spontaneously by ourselves, we want to do a bow. For example, somebody is flying in an airplane, and on the way the airplane has trouble, mechanical trouble. And everybody's afraid the airplane's going to crash. Everybody's afraid when you're in an airplane and the airplane has mechanical trouble. It can be quite fearful. You're far high off the ground, and there's that insecure kind of feeling. And so what he noticed, what this master noticed, he said that even like in America, when people who in a country like America where people think they are really the masters of the material world, but when they have problem on an airplane and the airplane's like going up and down and maybe mechanical problem, turbulence, and they don't know that the airplane's going to land very well. After it lands and everybody safely gets out of the airplane, many people will go to the ground and kiss the ground. And they will like touch the ground with their hand. Like almost like bow. Like, oh, Why they do that? Yeah, why they do that? Because they acknowledge some truth of nature. Some truth of nature that they almost like forgot. We're up in our heads. We live up in our heads. And yet this kind of the truth of nature can be very humbling, can humble ourselves. Okay.
The patriarch then added, "Learned audience, all of you should recite this stanza and put it into practice. Should you realize your true nature after reciting it, you may consider yourselves to be always in my presence, even though you are 1,000 miles away. But should you be unable to do so, then even though we are face to face, we are really 1,000 miles apart. In that case, what is the use of taking trouble to come here so far away? Take good care of yourselves." After hearing what the patriarch had said, the whole assembly became enlightenment. happily they accepted his teaching and put it into practice.
Okay, good. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. And what he said is, you should recite this poem, this stanza, and put it into practice. Of course, at that time, this was the way he was asking the students to practice. And he said, if you realize your true nature after reciting it, you may consider yourself to be always in my presence. You'll always be with me. But if you are, even though you're 1,000 miles away, you're in my presence if you really practice this, because true nature is not different. True nature is the same for even a holy man, or even a great master like Huineng, and somebody who is just a student. Then, if you're unable to do so, even though we are face to face, we are really 1,000 miles apart. So he kind of admonishes the people, you must not, don't just listen to this teaching, but you have to practice it. After you hear it, recite it, and put it into practice. And this is a very kind of compassionate teaching that he gives. So we'll stop today. Does anybody have, at this point, we will finish. Does anybody have a question? No question? Then we can finish today. Okay.